Welcome to the Art of Lifting podcast. Today we have got the Open Euros preview show. I am joined by Millie once again. Did you want to just briefly introduce yourself? You've been on here a few times now, so I'm sure people know who you are.
Hi guys, I'm Millie Lifts, most commonly known as, and I am a powerlifter within British powerlifting.
I really wanted you to say most commonly known as M.Illy one day. One day.
Don't bring this topic up.
All right, we're going to just jump straight in. We will start with the women's side. We'll work through the weight classes, lightest to heaviest, and then we'll go through the men's as well. We're going to give a little bit of a preview on what we think people might hit, things like that. But for the most part, we're just going to do our rankings 1, 2, 3. And then if we think there's anything else worth chatting through, we'll obviously go through it. So we will start with the women's 47s. Did you want to go through your predictions first on this one?
Yeah, sure. So I think we've got Marie out in front with a 381 kilo nominated total, which is 60 kilos above second place. So I'm fairly certain, unless I get really wrong, she's probably going to come out on top. I think she's got quite a lot of international experience as well. So having a look at her Instagram, I did recognise her. But then, yeah, between second and fourth place, there's a 5 kilo gap. So it'll be good to see like a little battle there. I think this is going to be quite a common theme this year. Like as I was looking at all the weight classes, there's usually like a front runner. And then, but so even I think in one weight class, I worked out from like third place to ninth place, there was like still like 10 kilos between them. So there'll be lots of little battles in there. But yeah, I guess the two girls that have the biggest pool are Joanne and Mary from Georgia. So I'm guessing that they might have a better chance of pulling themselves onto the podium in the end. Like it could go either way. But I think, you know, with such a light weight class as well, they're obviously going to have to be really careful with their attempts. There's going to be some harsh cuts going on here. So it could be anyone's game. But I think, yeah, definitely Marie from Italy will come out in first.
Yeah, I pretty much mirror everything you've just said there. I put Marie up in first, or I don't know if it's Delida Marie, but Italian lifter in first. She's got a really comfortable lead. And the other thing I noticed as well, she is about 10 years older than the girls ranked second and third, which makes me think she probably quite comfortably sits closer to 47, where the other girls, they are quite young. They're like mid-20s, early 20s. So they're probably going to have more of a cut just because they're probably still growing within the sport. So I think Marie from Italy in first quite comfortably. And then I've put Marie from Georgia in second, and I actually put Joanne in third because I think she's got the biggest pull of them all, although actually looking, Marie from Georgia has the same pull. But I think looking at open powerlifting, I thought Joanne maybe looked like she'd come in third. But it's going to be exciting to see, and it's quite nice having it's always good having such a close battle, isn't it? Like it just makes it more exciting, especially in these lighter weight classes that are often underpopulated. I think having 5 girls all reasonably close, because also Mariam from Georgia ranked 5th at the moment with a 280 total. Yes, it's a 280 total, so it's a bit behind the other girls, but she's born in 2000, so what, she's 24, 25, like she's young, so she could have put quite a lot on her total in that time as well.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, we'll move on to the 52s. So we've got a few bigger names in this class, which I think will be really exciting to see. And first and second, I think, will be quite a close battle. So in first, we've got ranked Plume Deckers from Netherlands with a 443 total. Second, we've got Noémie Alabert from France with 437.5. And then from there, third through to, sixth are all within 5.5 kilos of each other. So again, we're going to have a very close battle. I put Plume Deckers in first. I think she is a pretty consistent lifter. She's been around a long time. I'm really excited to see what she does. I'm also, to be honest, really excited to see what Noémie does, because I don't feel like we've seen tons of her probably since, what was it, the second Sheffield or the first Sheffield? I can't remember which. We haven't seen tons of her since, but it looks like her training's been going pretty well. Like I follow her on Instagram, I see her lifts come up quite a lot. So I think between the two of them, it could be really close, and I wouldn't be surprised whichever one comes out on top in that. And I think for third, I put Jelena from Austria, because she's just got the biggest pull, so she has that advantage there.
Yeah, I probably mirror your predictions exactly there. I think it'll be exciting to see Plum squat, because obviously she is the current squat record holder as well, isn't she? So it's always exciting to see if that can be pushed any further. Makes Evie's job a little bit harder at Sheffield each year. But yeah, I think as well, like the comment about Naomi Alibert. She hasn't really been lifting much recently in terms of like at competitions and stuff. So it'll be good to see her back in action at this comp. Her training looks like it's been going really well, and so does Plun's actually, but Plun's training, whether she's not posting singles or whether she just doesn't do singles, but it's kind of hard to gauge what she's going to do. Like, I think I saw on her Instagram that she did 162 for 3 like a week ago, but nothing in terms of like actual top end where she's going to end up. So I think that's always exciting as well, to like not really go in with any expectations when watching these things. But yeah, I think the 52s will be good to watch.
So then we've got the 57s. I'll let you take the lead on this one, but I just want to point out we've got 21 ladies in the 57s. Like, that's a big class for the 57s. So that's going to be really exciting to see. Did you want to go through your predictions first?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we've got obviously Pal nominated in first. I know that she's done quite a few comps. She's obviously got massive 490 total. She's got like a pretty solid total around that. I wouldn't necessarily say she's like a specialist in anything. Like, she has just got a strong total. Obviously, like 205 is like a huge deadlift, so she always ends up kind of pulling towards near the end, which is always helpful. But then obviously you've got Adejoke, GB lifter, nominated in second with 478. So she's not far behind. The only thing that Adejoke lets down a little bit is her bench, but it's definitely like come on a long way. So I would be surprised if it's, you know, made some significant moves since then. I think, you know, she pulls maybe slightly more than Powell. So I know she came second last year, so she's going to be really hungry to kind of get that gold medal first place position this year, and even possibly adding to the squat record. I know that she attempted that at Brits but just missed it, so it would be cool to see her have a really good day. Obviously not biased as a British lifter, but that would be sick. So I'm gonna say that Adejoke will come first, then Powell, and then I put Maria in third place. But yeah, it's all about the attempts, isn't it, and getting it right. But if Adejoke does have that chip as well, that is going to put her in like a bit of an advantage. So yeah, what do you think?
I pretty much agree completely. I think GB are bringing such. I know we're biased, but the squad for Euros this year is so strong. Like, GB has really leveled up over the last few years. And actually, Adejoke at British, like, she looks so strong. I've also put her in first, and I'm not trying to be biased with that. Like, I just genuinely think she's been on a really good stride with her training lately. And I just wouldn't be surprised if she has made more progress. And like you say, she's definitely got a good chance at taking the squat record. Don't know what the record is in that class, actually. I've not got that.
It is 188 at the moment. So I believe that at British, that's when she squatted 188, but then Bobby squatted 188.5 after her. So that's the British record, obviously. I think 188 as the world record is held by Jad at the moment, I think. That makes sense. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be really cool to see her walk away with that squat record. I think either way, she's going to, unless she, you know, kind of messes up with that attempt selection, which I don't think the GB handlers would do anyway. I think she'll walk away with squat gold regardless. It's just whether or not it's worth loading for that record. But yeah, Pal, so strong. Like, 490 at 57 is crazy. Like, I think first, second, and third, I mean, there's not a lot between them, to be honest. Like, I know 490 down to 471.5 is a fairly big jump, but like, Mayara in third, she's still quite young as well. I'm saying she's young because she's younger than me, and in my head that makes her young. But Mayara from Spain, like 471.5, like, she's also squatting around the 180 mark. Like, even battles for squats alone, I think, is going to be really exciting. But I've put the same order as you. I think of Adejoke in first, Powell from France in second, and then Mayara de Silva from Spain in third. But again, like, I think the battle for top 5 is going to be really tight anyway, because what you've got Elena ranked 5th with 444. You've got Sophie from the Netherlands ranked 6th, with 440.5. And then you've got 437.5, 435. Like, everyone is very close here. And we never know with Euros either what the reffing standards are going to be like. So that could obviously come into play as well. I think it's going to be really cool. So I think top 5, I think for team points, obviously, is always a favourable place to be. So it's going to be really interesting to see where these girls end up.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to this one.
Right. Then we have got the under 63s. So again, very excited for this one. We've got Sabrina Downs from GB ranked second in this class. And I'm going to just highlight her training a little bit here because I'm going to be honest, I couldn't find tons on all the other girls, but Sabrina Downs, 490 is her nominated total. And I believe she hit 490 at Girl Power. She hit around that at British a few weeks later, I think, as well. I could be wrong with that. But she recently hit in training a 497 total. And I think she's just been looking really strong and on a good stride. And she's obviously had more time now as well between the last comp and this one. Like, she had a good few months. So I do think she'll probably play second. But I also think she's pretty consistent. Like, I'm really excited to see. And hopefully she's obviously pushed that total closer to that 500, possibly into the 500s. I think Kaylee Sue from the Netherlands is pretty comfortable in first with a 513 nominated total. And then for third, we've got another fairly close battle, I think. Oh, wow. We've got a very close battle. So we've got it ranked in third. We've got Pantea Supernet, who I think, if I'm not mistaken, like, I definitely know she's been around a while, hasn't she? Like, she's a pretty consistent lifter. I think she'll put up a big total. I think I've placed her in third on my predictions anyway. But to be honest, we've got Immaculada from Spain. I'm definitely butchering some of these names as well.
You're doing
I'm just going to test that now. But she's nominated with 482.5. So that's 2.5 away from Pantea. And then we've also got Makeda Vidal from GB, ranked in fifth with 480.5. Like, that's less than 5 kilos between third down to fifth. So I think that's going to be really close. And obviously, I would love to see GB on the podium. And I think, actually looking at nominations as well, Makeda is quite likely to come away with a squat medal, I think, as well. So whether that's probably bronze or silver, who knows? But I think her training looks like it's been going well as well. I think.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember who she's coached by. Is she coached by Peach, or have I made that up?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I trust Peach as a coach.
And he'll be out there as well, won't he? And like that, I feel like that does make a difference.
Yeah, no, I think she's also recently hit a 200 double in training on deadlift, I've just seen as well. So her training is going well. It would be really cool to see her push for that podium spot, but yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I can't lie. I'm gonna put Makeda in at third. I think her training has. She lives in Cardiff now. We don't train at the same gym, but I've spoken to her and it looks really good. I think she's in a really good place to pull into that third place. And I think even like 10 kilos at 63 is really not a big gap at all. Like, that is genuinely like one missed attempt for some of the lifts. So yeah, it's going to come down to it. But I think with Sab's experience, I think she is going to be in a good place, and with her training total being so much higher as well, to kind of confirm that second place. And then I'll put Makeda in at third, and then Kaylee's training looks really good right now. I can't see her not winning with that. 10 kilos is a big gap, but 20 kilos is probably a bit too big. So yeah, with that huge squat, I think she'll walk away with first place.
Perfect. I felt we're rattling through these really quickly, but that's fine. We'll move on to the under 69s. Did you want to take the lead on this one?
Yeah, for sure. So to start with, obviously, it's really cool to see Tasmin Campbell competing. I know she missed out on a few comps last year because of her knee injury, but her training looks really solid. Tasmin is an M1 lifter as well, which is just like incredibly impressive to be up in the rankings of these open lifters. She has squatted 185 in training, so that's already like 5 kilos up on this nominated total. I think she's going to be in like a really good place. She's got such a big pull as well. I think out of everyone, I think there's one other person with the same pull as her, but she's going to be in a good place to pull what she kind of wants to go for, what she needs. I think she's going to be hungry for gold. If I'm not mistaken, last year I think she did load something up to try and win, or to try and get to second place or something. So I know that she likes taking those risks. However, Mark Jenner she is an incredible lifter. Training as well as just been going so well that I saw on Instagram that she squatted 202.5, benched 140, which is already a 20 kilo increase on this 550 total, which is already phenomenal. So I'm quite confident to say that I think Mark will probably walk away with that first place, but it does depend on like reffing standards, attempt selection, whatnot. And then Anderina Bashu, she is still a junior, and I have seen her training come on absolute miles. 198.5 squat is just ridiculous. I'm fairly certain she's done more than that in training now as well. And she's just got a pretty well-rounded total, quite a big pull as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a little battle going on between her and Tasmin for second and third. But yeah, I'm gonna back my GV lifter, Tasmin. She looks really confident going into this, so I'm gonna put her a second, and then Anderina in third place. But like even like going past that, like there's a few lifters not far off. So I think it's just gonna have to be a case of some really, really clever attempt selections to try and get onto that podium. If anyone wants to. Also a shout out to Jordan Bright, who is nominated 7th place. I don't know if you see much of Jordan's training, but anything that she squats looks like RP5. She could put 200 on her back, and it's so easy. So I'm really excited to see what she does. But yeah, what do you think?
Again, I think I'm going to pretty much mirror what you've said. I'm a huge Mark Jenner fan. Like, yeah. I cannot wait. Like, I love watching her training. The way that she just grinds out a bench press, like, and she's so intense when she competes as well. Like, I just love to watch it. And I do think she is overdue, like a big total increase. Like, she's been hitting huge numbers in training for a while. She might not put it up at this comp because she doesn't really need to, most likely. Like, she might be somewhat safe, but I think a 200 squat on the platform for her would be so good to see. Even a 135 bench, like she's been benching 140 in training. Like, I think she's overdue quite a lot of PBs here. And I think Tasmin is probably far enough behind, considering she's been injured as well, that she probably not put tons on her total.
Yeah.
Mark can probably just kind of have fun with this one and go for it. But then we'll just see, obviously. But I mean, Tasmin, I'm not going to write her off either because her training has looked so good. I'm really excited to see what she puts up. And like you said, like she's a masters lifter and she's keeping up with literally like a junior from France ranked in third. Like, it's so cool to see the difference.
Yeah.
There. Like, and no, I think Tasmin's going to put up something huge. Her bench is always insane to watch. Like, she's just such a big bencher. And she's a big puller as well. Am I right in thinking it's her squat that's been most affected by her injury?
Yeah, because it was knee. So, but her squats have like really come back. So yeah.
Yeah, didn't she match her PB recently? I think I saw on Instagram a few days ago. I have a feeling she squatted close to her PB.
Yeah, so she's done 182.5 in comp, but she squatted 185 in training. So that was a PB. Yeah, and it was quite like it was hard work, but it was smooth.
Yeah.
So
it'd be really cool to see what she does. And if she can put a PB total up after being injured and away for a while, like she missed out on the British and stuff, that'd be so good to see. But I'm definitely backing her for second. And then, like you said, Anderina Bashu from France, she's still a junior. She's got 532 total under 69 as what, a 22-year-old? Like, that's insane. Yeah. I think it's her last year as a junior.
Yes.
But also noting, I think as well, Georgia ranked in 4th, nominated with a 530 total from Italy. She's only just aged out. Yeah. So both these ladies, like, they've got a lot of potential to put a good chunk on their total at that age as well. So I think it's going to be really cool to see. It's another weight class, though, where numbers are very tight, all the way down to, like, 7th, 8th. So even further than that, I think, literally, like, from, 9th and above, everyone's in the 500s. And, you know, I think the top 2, 3, they're going to be fairly far, or maybe even 4 are going to be quite far ahead, but fighting for that 5th spot. And depends on ref standards as well, which I think is always very important to note with any international, but I think particularly Euros. So it'll be really interesting to see how this one ends up. But I'm really excited to see Tasmin back on the platform.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, we've got under 76s next. I'm happy to take the lead on this one. Again, fairly big spread between first and second, but again, we never know what's going to happen. So we've got Laura from France ranked first with 572.5 total. We've got Clara Peyraud. I've definitely pronounced that.
Is that Peyraud?
Yeah. I mean, everyone's going to know who she is, so that's fine. I could just say Clara from France. She is such a competitive lift. Like, you see her at every big comp. She is ranked in, she just moved up weight class as well, am I right? She was 69 before. Yeah, so she's ranked in second with a 557.5 total. And then we've got Ellen from Finland with 538.5 total. And again, from third down to, 5th, 6th, we've got a very close battle. And we've also got 2 GB lifters in this mix as well that I think we definitely need to chat through because they've both been progressing really well. But in terms of rankings, I've put Laura in first. I've put Clara in second. Wouldn't be surprised if that mixes up though with Clara going up a weight class. I think it'll be really good to see what she puts up. And then I've actually put, this is definitely my bias coming through, I've put Bettina from GB in third because she has been, like, her training has been incredible. I don't want to say I underrated her for British last year, but I know at Manchester Open she had a super meet, and that's where she really established herself in the 76s. And I can remember thinking to myself, there's no way she'll have progressed that much again into British, and she did. And I think it was only a few weeks after British she hit another deadlift PB for reps, and like, she is looking so strong, and she's young. I think she has a good chance of fighting for podium, especially with the GB handlers. With that as well, though, definitely have to mention Temi. It's only going to be Temi's third meet as a 76. I think her first meet was a regional just to get the qualifying total last year. I think from what I remember, she had quite a harsh cut. It was her first time having to ever cut. Like, she never used to cut into the 84s. She didn't have the best. I mean, she had a good day, don't get me wrong. She put up a good total, but compared to her 84 total, it wasn't that high. But obviously, she had time to settle in the 76s now. She's had a good few months. And as an 84, she was in the mid 800s, not 800s. That would be crazy. The mid 500s as an 84. And I think at British, she showed that strength is now coming back, and she's had more time to settle. She's working with Christian. It's hard to tell from Temi's training how things are, just because her training doesn't really appear to be overly heavy, which I think is Christian's style. But I wouldn't be surprised. I'm expecting them both to end up in top 5, but I'd put Bettina in third.
Yeah, defo. I think, I've got quite a few points to bring up with this. Firstly, like, the fact that the top 11 lifters all have a 500 kg plus total, might even be top 12. It's actually crazy. Like, to think that you might end up like in the B group with a 500 total, like, almost, is like insane. Just the standard of lifting in this class, like, is actually phenomenal. I think, in terms of the top 3, Laura obviously is right out in front at the moment with that total. I have to say, though, she is quite an inconsistent lifter. Her squat is very hit or miss. Like, I think she really has to fold, and obviously, like, depending on how her prep's gone, how tired she is going into this, like, I think that those kind of things can make a massive difference. She's also got a very technical bench, elbow depth is sometimes on the line, etc. So it's one of those things where, like, literally a few, like, things that have gone wrong, and it will be very, very easy, especially if Clara has continued making gains in this new weight class, to kind of like slip ahead. It's really interesting as well that they both basically pull around the same thing. But saying that, I have seen Laura pull 240 very, very smoothly quite a few times now on Instagram. So I think, I'm probably going to keep Laura at the top. Like, I will always like back the lifter in terms of their standards and how they can hit them. So put Laura at the top, and then Clara definitely locked in at second. I can't see anyone coming in and taking those two off the top. But then looking down from third place to sixth, it is really interesting. And what you're saying about Bettina as well is really important to note, that that total that she's put up there, that was a 6 for 9 day as well. So there is, like, even if she hasn't made any progress since Brits, there is at least, I think, another 25 kilos to add to that total, and that's if she hasn't made any progress. She definitely will have, because we've seen it in her training. She is a very strong athlete, and this weight class is treating her really nicely. So I firmly would like to put Bettina up at third place. I do think I agree with what you're saying about Temi, though, that she's really found her feet in this weight class, and that's working really well. And she also did have an 8 for 9 day. I think they both tried to pull for that first place position off Sophia Ellis. So it'll be interesting to see if she can put that all together, and see how close she can get to the top 3 as well. But I'm really excited to watch this, actually. So it'll be good fun.
I think 76 is always a popular class, but it's nice to see in all the weight classes this year, men's and women's, a lot of different names as well. Just to see, the numbers are still what they normally are right at the top. Like, it's still so competitive and so impressive, but it's just a different mix of lifters. I think with the change of schedule with the internationals and everything this year, a lot of people have opted out of doing Euros. So it'll be really interesting to see all of these lifters kind of have their chance to shine.
Yeah.
We'll move on to the 84s. I will let you take the lead. We've got some very regular names in this class that we see quite a lot. So I'm really excited for this one, obviously with it being my weight class, but I'll let you take the lead.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously we've got Melina nominated in first. Melina is an incredible lifter, 555.5 total. She's pretty well rounded. Obviously that bench is very strong, but her squat and deadlift really supports it in a really good way. I think I'm definitely gonna keep her at first for this. She has got, even though she's fairly new in the open, she has got a lot of international experience as a junior, so she's fairly comfortable under that environment, I think. However, Kristin Thor's daughter, she is also she's been lifting for a long time. She is an M1 lifter. To be up there again, it's mental. 545 kilos. She's got an absolutely ridiculously huge squat. When Melina has the bench, she has the squat. So it's going to come down to deadlifts and who's made the best calls throughout the day. And then we've got Alison from Ireland as well, another phenomenal lifter with a huge bench. It's going to be really close, but even going down from that, the totals, 2 kilos under, we've got Leah, and then Katja from Denmark, just 6 kilos behind. So there's gonna be battles, which I think does just make it really interesting to watch. And especially Katja from Denmark, she's got that massive pull, so she could potentially be in a position where she can pull into third place. But I think I'm gonna keep Melina at first place. I think her training looks really solid right now as well, and I think she's in a good place to maintain that. It'll be awesome as well for her as her first composite open lifter to kind of walk away European champ. That is a huge flex. So I hope that she wins that. And then I think Kristin will be in second, and then I'm gonna say that Katja from Denmark, even though she's about 8 kilos behind, that's not a lot, especially in the 84 weight class. I think she can make that up, and I'm gonna put her down for third place.
No, I agree again with pretty much everything you've said. I'm so excited to see Melina as representing GB on the open team. Like you say, she's done internationals as a junior. She's such a good lifter. She's consistent. I love watching her bench. Her bench is insane. But like you said, she is very well rounded. And I think she was injured for a while. It was quite a while ago now, but she had a very long time between her last comp and then the British last year. And obviously in that time, she put a huge amount on her total. She's gotten completely healthy by the looks of it too. And I think she looks like training's going really well. She's just a very solid all-round lifter. Imagine, she's still young as well. She's 24?
Yeah.
Coming away, open Euro champion, your first year. That would be insane. But no, I definitely put Melina in first there, and I back her 100%. Again, as well, with the GB handlers, I think that's a really important thing at international, isn't it? Who you've got handling you. We know GB has good handlers on its side, so I think that also helps her there. I put Kristin in second, and I also put Ali O'Reilly in third. With Kristin, though, I have to say she's not always the most consistent. She's been in the 84s for a while. She's someone that I've seen compete at international so many times. I think she used to be coached by Amanda Lawrence. I'm not sure who coaches her now, but she's a big name in the 84 class. She's a really great lifter, but she's not the most consistent, especially at internationals. So with the totals being so close from second all the way down to kind of fifth, if she does miss and she's not as consistent, she might miss out on podium there. And I think Ali O'Reilly, she's been around for a long time, but Leah Schreiner as well, been around for a long time. These are all names that you see regularly on the international stage in the 84s. I wouldn't be surprised if any of these women come in third. I really wouldn't, or even second. I think it's going to be a really close battle all the way. But I put, as the nominations are, Melina, Kristin, and then Ali O'Reilly in third.
Yeah.
Then we have got the 84 plus, which obviously we're all excited about. We've got Sunita, which normally at Euros, I don't think she really pushes because she's got an, if my maths is right, an 80 kilo lead on second place, right? And that's Amélie Mierge from France in second, who is a big name in the 84 plus as well. She is well known in the 84 plus. She's a really great lifter, but obviously Sunita is just in a world of her own right now. Normally she doesn't push at Euros. I don't know if you've listened to the recent King of the Lifts podcast though, and she is sounding as if she still wants to aim for the biggest total of any female powerlifter of all time. I
Wow.
think
Okay.
her and her, I don't know if they're married, fiance, husband, I'm not sure if they're married yet or not, were apparently talking. And because at Sheffield, she went for such a big squat, right? She went for, was it 325, 325.5?
Yeah.
She didn't need to load that heavy. And her bench showed up more than she thought it would. And obviously her deadlift, she had some issues. I think from what she said, like she's still planning on loading up because she doesn't have to load in the 320s to still hit a total PB. She can squat 315, 317 and still hit a decent total PB. And I mean, when she hit that, was it 700 pounds in training? 700?
Yeah.
I'm not very good at the conversions here.
Yeah.
It was pretty comfortable. And I know she said, like, with being a super heavyweight, like, you can't peak back to back. And she's got world games. So it'd be silly for her to go all out. But I still wouldn't be surprised if we see a total PB without her even going all out, which is insane to say.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely.
I think second place, I've still put Amelie from France, but a Quinn in third. I will back a Quinn to the end of the earth. She is progressing so well. She's still new to the sport. She is still new to the sport, but she's just progressing at such a good rate. She changed to Peach a few weeks before the British. And I mean, her total increase at British alone was huge. Her squat in training looks so strong. She's got a huge pull. There's a good chance she's going to go for deadlift gold because she pulled an unofficial world record, I think 270 something just after the British as well. Like her numbers there are not going to be her numbers at the Euros, I don't think. Like she has a lot more to give. So I wouldn't even be surprised if she somehow pulls out the bag. Like if Amelie misses, I really wouldn't be surprised if she ends up being able to pull for second. She obviously has the big deadlift, her advantage. So I have left it in the order of the nominations of Sunita, Amelie, and then a Quinn. But I am so excited to see a Quinn on this platform. She deserves that GB singlet. Like she's progressing so well, and it's going to be really good to see what she does.
Definitely. It feels like, I don't know about you, but it feels really overdue. Like I feel like I should have seen a Quinn in a GB singlet before now. Like, so it feels like a long time coming. I'm really excited to see her lift. I might be giving out a slightly hot take here. I do think she will pull in second. I think I am going to put my money on the table. I think, especially like her bench as well. Like her bench is not her best lift, but he has come on. I'm not saying she's going to be benching 160 kilos at this comp, but it is making some moves. And the other ones, like she is just so strong. And I think there really isn't, I'm not seeing a limit anytime soon for what she's capable of putting up. So I am going to put a Quinn in second place for this. I think that Amelie as well, I think when she has someone that's, just behind her, I know like just behind is 30 kilos in this case, but like in the 84 pluses, that's not massive. Like that is quite like a reasonable way to catch up to if there's a few missed attempts or the wrong calls. So I think Amelie's going to be quite aware of that, and I wonder if that might affect her on the day. Obviously, like she was a very like top lifter, she still very much is, but obviously we had all these like huge like characters come through like Sunita, Brittany, whatnot, and I think a Quinn is very much on her way to joining them as the top group in the 84 plus. I think though Amelie, it'll be really good to see her put up like a big bench PB again. She obviously holds the current records. I think obviously she knows she's not going to be going to Sheffield anytime soon, so she's just going to want to keep on like increasing that. So that'll be good to see. And then Sunita, unless it goes wrong, she'll be out in first. But it is crazy to me to see her kind of like in the mix here. Like I you do question it a little bit, don't you? But I think she just really enjoys competing, and I love that for her because same. But I think it'll be good to see what she does and how she's like responded from Sheffield. I always just get so excited to see Sunita's outfit as well. She always looks sick on comp day. So
I think I might be wrong, but I think with Sunita, the reason she does Euros is because part of being with Team Belgium means she has to represent them. Like they have to take their lifters to each comp. Right. So I think she literally just does it kind of out of obligation. But it's an easy win for her. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think other women are good. Like someone like a Quinn, I could see rivaling her in a few years. Like a Quinn's literally only been competing since the start of 2022. Like she's
exactly.
so new, and like you said, she's nowhere near her ceiling. Like she's progressing at such a quick rate. So I do think eventually there might be competition. But I mean, if you can guarantee a win on a fairly comfortable like RP7 day at Euros, you're gonna go. You'd just go, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So no, it's going to be, I mean, every single class on the women's side is going to be a battle. So it's going to be really exciting to see every single one. Like we said earlier, like even the 47s, having 5 lifters in the 47s pretty close together is going to be really exciting to see, all the way up to the 84 plus. Like there's not going to be a class that's less interesting than the other.
No, definitely not. I'm really looking forward to it.
Right. Anything else to shout out on the women's side before we move to the men's?
I think that's everything from me.
Okay. So we'll do the same thing with the men's. We'll start with the lightest weight classes and work our ways up. Again, as we said earlier about the women's, like there's a lot of different, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of names that you see at Euros every year, but a lot of the top lifters aren't going to be there, and there's a different mixture of lifters in, like, even GB alone, we've got a lot of different lifters this year than what we normally take to Euros, and I think that makes it really exciting to see. We'll start with the 59s. Again, 7 lifters in the 59s, I feel like, I mean, I'm not comparing this to previous years, so I could be completely lying here, but I think that's a decent group, a decent flight for the 59 and the lighter weight classes. So we've got Antoine Garcia ranked first. He is a staple in the 59s. Like, he's been competing for a long time. We've got Ivan Campano Diaz from Spain in second position with a 600 total. We've got Brian from France in third with a 578 total. That is the order I have ranked them. However, with Brian, who's ranked third, he is still pretty new. Looking at open powerlifting, I didn't write down the date, but I think he's still a fairly new lifter. I'm also going to say he's young because he was born the same year as me, so that makes him young. Ivan in second, I think he's either just aged out. Yeah, he would have just aged out of juniors. So again, still young. And then Antoine, like I said, he's been a staple in this class for a long time. He's competed in the 59 since he started, which was 2017. So with the lighter weight classes, we kind of briefly mentioned it with the 47s. Something to really take into account is the cut, because for most of these guys, it's probably going to be quite a hard cut. And I always look at the age and how long they've been in the sport as well. So, for example, Darius from Poland was born in 1978. He's ranked 4th. I would imagine if he's competing in the 59s, it's just a natural class for him, right? Antoine has been in the under 59s, ranked 1st since 2017. I can't imagine the cut's going to be that hard for him if he's been in that weight class for this many years. Like, he's been training long enough. He's been at a competitive level for long enough. He's probably not gaining tons of muscle mass each year. 59s is probably his home, right? Like, it's probably pretty comfortable for him. And then I look at Ivan from Spain and Brian from France, and I'm like, well, you're both pretty young. So I would imagine their cut is probably harder. I could be off with that, but that's where I think placings could mix up quite a lot, because I think we said it on the Sheffield preview show as well. Cutting to 59 is a big cut for most men. So it'll be interesting to see. And that's where I think these classes are really interesting, because you can go in with whatever total, but can you pull it off on the day on an international platform with the international standards in a different country as well? Like, cutting in a different country isn't the easiest thing to do.
No, like I think I completely agree with you in terms of those rankings. I think, obviously Antoine is a big favourite in this class. I think he's definitely going to finish in first. Like, obviously, it just like any of the other weight classes, if they miss an attempt, obviously there is an opening. But I think it is quite common as well for lifters to miss attempts in this weight class as well. Like, it's the hardest one probably to get right. Therefore, like, there is that extra added pressure as well for these lifters. And I think more of them are likely to play it safe than not. So I think, Antoine in first, Ivan in second, and then Brian in third. I can't see, those 3 not finishing on the podium, unless, worst case scenario, they don't make weight or anything. But, a lot of them have been competing in this weight class for that long, apart from like the 2 younger ones. So fingers crossed they make weight, because we like battles. We like watching more people in the sport. So, yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned about obviously missed attempts being common in those weight classes as well, because something else that I noticed with Antoine, when he hit that 610, he did miss his final squat and his final deadlift. So even if he hasn't really progressed, if he can just make slightly more sensible calls there, he could be looking at 615, 620-ish potentially. But I think with those lighter weight classes, it's hard because like these guys are strong enough that they can take relatively big jumps. But at the same time, if you're cut into a weight class you're not feeling strong, you don't want to have to do that. And then it's easy to gas out early on because you've lifted so heavy for so many of your attempts, isn't it? Just
I think as well, because obviously there's only 7 lifters on in this weight class. I've not seen the timetable, I'm not sure if it's out yet, but like that's like not a lot of recovery time. Like it's almost like the bare minimum before you start adding in those extra minutes. So hopefully they've kind of trained with that in mind, because that can be quite harsh, especially with the cuts as well. So yeah, I don't know, have you seen the timetable?
I've seen the post on Instagram just with the schedule, but I haven't seen the proper timetable. But I think the 59s and the 66s are on the first day after the opening ceremony. So they'll at least have a decent gap when the 66s are on to kind of recover between warming up. But it's still 7 people is going to be a quick flight regardless, isn't it? So, and like if people miss weight then as well, that is it 6 as a minimum or 7?
So 6 is the minimum, and then any less than that, you get an extra added minute. So my first international, we only had 5, 5 lifters, and it was like peak summer as well. So everyone was like really hot and like dying. Well, I was anyway. And yeah, we had to have an extra minute added to the end of the flight so that we could actually all recover. It was not fun. Let me tell you now, never complain about being in a really long flight, because that is so much better than like a short one. I think so anyway. Hot take.
No, I agree and I disagree. In my mind, I'm like, I'd rather get this over as fast as possible. I train quick, I'd rather compete quick. But I have had meets before where I've literally not even been able to sit down, because by the time I've put my next attempt in, taken my wraps off, taken my belt off, I go to sit down and they're like, right, you're 2 lifters out. And it's like, oh no, you literally don't get to relax. So I think 10 is the sweet spot for a flight, right?
10 or 12, yep.
I think we'll move on to the 66s. So there's 9 in this group, so a bit of a nicer flight. And I would imagine like they're going to just do it as 2 flights, aren't they? So they'll get a decent rest between lifts. But I think that is something to take into account as well, which we didn't really speak about with the women's. Also with the 47s on the women's side, there were only 5. They might mix the 52s in actually, because there's 16 52s. So maybe they'll mix together.
They might merge the B group with the 47s then, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that would be the sensible choice. Right, so under 66s, did you want to take the lead on this one?
Yeah, absolutely. I can't lie, I think this might be the most exciting weight class, which I can't believe I'm saying about the 66s, but here we are. The top 5 lifters literally have 7 kilos between them, with first place nominated with 652, that's Antti from Finland, and then 5th place Joel Cantina from Austria with 645, and within that we obviously have our 2 British lifters, Kibria at 651 and then Joey at 650.5. So when we say it is tight, it is tight. It is going to literally come down to everything. It's going to come down to body weight in this weight class. I am so excited to watch this. I think, you know, it's really hard to predict where people are going to end up. Obviously Kibria has got a massive pull, so you know, I'd like to put him close to the top, but then again, Kibria, I'd say, is obviously, this is his first international comp. He's not had that international experience. I know that he's looking to move up to the 74s pretty soon, so how is he going to find this weight cut internationally? I don't know. That'll be interesting to see. I'm sure he will smash it, but yeah, definitely something to consider. I know that Joey's obviously had international experience before, so that is something that's going to, you know, come into play. In terms of predictions, the other lifters, obviously we've got Brandon, who is quite young in the weight class, probably has that advantage. But then you've got like the complete opposite with Antti being from Finland, being quite a Masters 1 lifter and also nominated in first. He's going to have that kind of confidence coming in, I guess, and also having a bigger end deadlift. He'll be pulling towards the end. It could come, this is such a tough one to predict, but I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to put Antti in first place still. He's obviously got a lot of experience. He's an experienced lifter. then I am going to put Kibria in second. I think having that bigger deadlift is going to give him an advantage to place as high up as possible. Is it going to be enough for first? I'm not sure. That's why I'm going to put him at second. I also think, though, as well, like this is another really lightweight class where, you know, missed attempts are quite common, and like that is going to make a difference. And then, yeah, I'm gonna put Joey in at third, just because I want him to finish third. And it's really hard to decipher between the rest of these lifters. But yeah, I have to say this one's going to be really exciting, and it's going to come down to lot numbers and body weight for sure. So I'm interested to see what you've got to say, Sean.
Yeah, so I think we've taken a little bit of a different opinion on this one.
Ooh.
So, I mean, obviously it's so close. We're probably both going to be wrong. Firstly, I want to say I think either of the GB boys do have the chance to win, potentially. But when I was looking into everyone, I noticed that Brandon from France, who's ranked second, he had a huge increase on his total between his last two comps, which were April last year, he hit 612.5, and then October, he hit 651.5, and he actually missed a pull on the day as well. So there was potentially a few more kilos there. So I don't know what happened there, but he might have changed coach. He might have just found what works for him. I'm thinking for Brandon, I'm going to put him in first, because if he can keep any of that momentum, then I think, imagine what he can put up.
Yeah.
I've put Joey in second, just because the way Joey showed up at British was insane. He changed coach, and they obviously found something that he'd been missing, and his total went up really well. I don't think anyone expects him to put up what he did at British, or at least not from an outside viewer perspective. Like, from what I saw on Instagram and everything, like, I didn't expect him to do that well at British. And I've put Kibria in third. Now, I want GB to be on the podium here, but I know Kibria in the past has struggled with squat depth. And I didn't realize he was kind of desperate to move up to 74s either, which makes me think, you know, firstly, it could go the way of, it's his last showing as a 66. He wants to leave it out there, go for it. But also, is it because the cut is that hard that he doesn't really want to do it anymore? He knows it's going to be the last one. Like, I think mentally that could go one way or the other for him. But I do think with the GB handlers, like, there is a good chance they're both going to end up on the podium there. They're obviously going to play it somewhat safe and take it by the day. But I do think I've put Brandon in first, Joey in second, just because, again, he's got that momentum behind him. And I'm hoping it's continued, because I think it's great seeing him on the GB platform. Like, I think he works really hard. Like, it'll be really good to see him put his total up. And then we've got Kibria, but I could be swayed literally anywhere between these top five. Like, because even fifth place is 645 total, right? And that, like, it's just, if the standards are really strict that day, this whole like top 6, top 7 could be in a different order. You never really know. So I could be swayed anyway. And I think, like you said, Antti from Finland, he's a bit older than these guys. He's a masters lifter. I'm not sure how long he's been competing. I could look that up quickly, but I'm assuming he's been around quite a long time. So I'm going to guess consistency is going to be his friend here. Like, he could put that experience to good use. Yeah, no, he's been competing since 1999. So I'm going to say, consistency wise, he's probably the safe bet for first, but it just depends on that progress level. And I think the other guys have been progressing so quickly, you know, obviously that bit younger. It'll be interesting to see what happens here.
Definitely. I hadn't noticed about Brandon's progress, so like that's a really good point, something to consider. But yeah, I think it could, like you said, it could end absolutely anywhere. I think as well with Joey, that he did have a bit of squat issue at British. Like, I know that he had to retake one of his attempts. So it'll be interesting to see how much that can go up. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, so am I. Okay, so next up we've got the 74s. So again, very stacked class. I think it's going to be pretty close. Now, we've got a clear favourite with Shell ranked first. He is doing it as a light 74 though, because I think he is still planning to cut to 66 for Worlds and World Games. So I don't think he'll hit the 812.5 that he's nominated with, but I wouldn't be surprised to see like a 780-ish. Like, he's not going to have to cut. He can eat before weigh-in. Like, he'll have a really relaxed day. So I think Shell is a pretty safe bet for first. Excited to see what Joshua Wright puts up from Germany. He has been a staple in the 74s for a long time now. His training looks good. Like, I don't follow it closely, but I do follow him, and I feel like he's looked pretty strong lately. I think potentially a little boost in his total there. And then I've actually I think I put Jan in third from France, but I think third is going to be a close battle. So Jan ranked third, 723 total. We've got Marcos from Spain, ranked fourth with a 720 total. And then we've got Alberto from Spain as well, ranked fifth with a 715. And even below that, we've still got pretty close totals. So I do think it's going to come down to who makes attempts, which I hate people that say that, because obviously it's going to come down to who makes attempts. Like, that's literally the sport.
That's me in a nutshell.
But it comes down to it in the sense of, what's the judging going to be like? Is anyone doing a harsh weight cut? Because I still think 74 is still fairly light for a lot of these guys. So that could have an impact as well. And I think that's something, obviously, for every weight class to take into account, like who cuts, who doesn't. But I think it's going to be interesting to see. And to be fair, if Joshua has a really good day and Shell doesn't, it could be quite close between first and second. But I think Shell would probably have to have a pretty bad day for that. But I can't see him being at peak strength. But I'm excited to see what he does as a light 74, because I know he has said in himself he feels a lot better being lighter because his diet is just much better quality food. But at the same time, has he lapsed on his diet and gone back into old habits, knowing he doesn't have to cut for this one? So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I think I heard on like King of the Lifts podcast again. I can't remember how long it was after, but it can't have been that long after Sheffield, because it hasn't been that long anyway. And he said he was already up to like 71. So it's hard to stay at that light body weight, isn't it? But yeah, I think he's going to be running on a real high for this, though. Like, obviously, like, he put in an absolute shift to get to where he needed to be for Sheffield. He had such a sick day, and I think he'll just come into this like no pressure whatsoever, just wanting to enjoy it. So I think he still will obviously win. But I think you're absolutely right in pointing out that if he doesn't have such a good day, Joshua will be right there. Especially because Joshua's pool is quite big as well. It's, you know, he's in a place where he can pull something big if he needs to, maybe. But yeah, I think that apart from those two, the next few are also very close. Like, it's quite nice, all of this. Like, there's a lot of like fighting for like third place. I think, you know, the new setup of the calendar is quite good in a way, because it gives athletes that are still, you know, very, very strong a little bit more notice, a little bit more I don't know, fun, something like to work for, because I reckon it can probably be quite frustrating, even though it's all about perspective, getting to like an international every year and like having that opportunity, but never quite being at that elite level to actually walk away with anything. But now that they've changed the system a bit, it is going to be interesting to see like how people like thrive off that, seeing if anything changes in terms of, you know, where people's performances are, because, you know, fighting for like a third place position rather than knowing that you're going to come in at like 6th or 7th each time is going to make a massive difference. Like, I know it would for me anyway. So yeah, I think, yeah, between those three it's going to be really tight. They're all quite young as well. We've got Jan from France and then the other two from Spain. So yeah, it could end up anywhere, but I think as it's nominated, I reckon it will finish.
Yeah, something else I also noted as well. So Christos, who is ranked 6th from Cyprus, he's ranked 6th with a 710 total, so he's a little bit behind. But I mean, really, it's a missed deadlift behind, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he has been competing since 2017 as well, whereas the other guys are quite young, ranked 3rd through to 5th. So if they're not as consistent, I mean, Jan is part of Team France. We know France's attempt selection isn't always the most safe. Yeah. So I do think it's worth noting, like, Christos could come in here and experience could prevail there, and he could potentially, if people are missing, sneak onto that podium as well. So I don't think you can count anyone out in pretty much every of these weight classes, which is really cool to see. I love it when it's more of a battle. I mean, everyone does, like, it's more sportsmanlike. It's exciting to see the battles, and like you said, it's different names that we don't always get to see as well. And a lot of these names we do get to see, but they're maybe pushed to the side by like the one or two that are like miles ahead at the top. Yeah, so it's just good to see a more even playing field, I think.
Definitely. And I think as well, what we've not mentioned as well is obviously this is Malaga, Spain, and like, you know, consistently in every weight class there are, you know, Spanish lifters near the top, and like having, you know, it's not it's not so much home soil and not having to travel, because I know that obviously in Europe it's a lot easier to kind of get from one country to another, but it's having that extra like support from the crowd. Like you can really tell, like I remember when there was a comp in Malta and you could hear like all the like Maltese lifters like screaming on the live stream, and like, you know, from Sheffield we know that like a good environment does make a difference, so I think that could potentially come into play.
Definitely. So then we have got the 83s. I'll let you take the lead on this one, but I think we're probably both going to sit here and say we're really excited for this one.
Yeah, so obviously we've got Ade in first place nominations with 861. Obviously he had not his best day out at Sheffield, but still put up like a massive total. It's going to be really good to see him here. I think he is wanting to push this, isn't he? Yeah, so
I think so.
It'll be good to see him. Like, I'd love to see him like lift a 9 for 9 day. Like, I think at Sheffield he missed all of his last attempts, didn't he? So yeah, just to see where that deadlift is going to come from, if he can like hold on to it, because he has definitely got the strength to pull something ridiculous at the end there. But I think there's no doubt that he's going to finish in first place, which is really exciting. And then yeah, this is probably like the one that I've noticed the most. So from third to 10th place there is literally 10 kilos difference, so I think like I will be sitting down with some popcorn to watch this. I will be taking notes, seeing where everyone comes through. I think this is going to be like a really good one. Obviously like the 83s is often like a crowd favorite, but I think for this time it's going to be for like different reasons. There's a lot of unfamiliar names here as well, so just kind of seeing what the talent's like coming through from these different countries. I think though Paul nominated in second, he is probably quite safe there. But honestly, from third to 10th place, it could be anyone's game. I think obviously we've got a Spanish lifter, James, from with a 757.5 total. Third place is nominated at 761.5. So, you know, with him being at home, like that could be an advantage. I honestly think though, like whoever's last out to Paul, like if everyone had a 9 for 9 day, like that's what's going to come down to. So I am going to put the Jonathan Soderlig as my third place in these rankings.
Yeah, I completely agree with those rankings. I think the cool thing with this year's AE3s is you kind of get both reasons why people are going to tune in. They're going to tune in to see what Ade does. I'm assuming he is doing Worlds as well. I don't think anyone's announced the GB Worlds team, but I would imagine him and Durins will both be going. And the fact that Ade's chosen to do Euros, I'm assuming is because he wants to go and just push, right? He's got a guaranteed win here. Like, unless something goes drastically wrong, he misses weight, he hurts himself, which obviously hopefully doesn't happen, he's probably going to pretty much win on openers, if not seconds. And I'm really excited to see him. I'm assuming he's going to try and push the world record. I know that it would be silly in some ways because of Sheffield, but with American Nationals being like the month after this, he's going to want to prove that he is the top 83 still, I would imagine. So I'm really excited to see what he does. And like you said, he went 6 for 9 at Sheffield, and he had a lot of strength that he didn't get to show off. And even when he hit that 861 at Westerns last year, he had room. His 363 deadlift is not his top end. That 381-ish at Sheffield. Like, it flew. It just flew quicker than he thought it would. Like, he lost balance. So I also think it's really cool that it was literally about a year ago we were all saying how crazy Enna is in his ability to pull 380 as an 83. Like, I know he's loaded 400 and broke the floor and stuff, but the fact that now there's other 83s coming along and pulling that, as well as having the squat, as well as having the bench, is insane. So yeah, Ade definitely putting him in first. I think Paul Ramboeville from France, pretty safe in second, and he's a name that you see a lot at internationals, so I don't think he'll have to worry about the standards and stuff. Like, I think he'll be absolutely fine. And then same as you, like third through to 10th, even further back, to be fair, like they're all so close together. Who knows what's going to happen there? A lot of these names you don't really see a lot, or they're not usually in the prime time, or like the A group, whatever. I agree with you though. I think, you know, biggest deadlift is going to have the advantage, as much as I don't like to admit that, and I'm sure you're the same as a subtotal as a subtotal specialist, but the deadlifters do get the advantage of choosing where they want to pull for. So I have also said Jonathan for third.
Yeah, agreed.
Right, 93s. Very excited for this one. Two GB boys ranked first and second. We've got Christian pretty comfortably in first. I've not seen tons from Christian lately. I know going into British, he was just on another level, like in his stride. His lifts looked crazy. At British, his lifts looked crazy. I can't imagine he's lost that momentum. Like, he's very clever with how he programs himself. He's very clever with how he trains. I think he's healthy from what I've seen. So, I mean, he's comfortably going to win this one, I think. And it's going to be, I hope he goes all out, and I hope we get to see something crazy from him. But I also do think he is a lifter that doesn't push if he doesn't really need to. And I think he's someone that is a bit more injury prone. So he's got what, a 38.5 kilo lead above Will, ranked second. So he's probably not going to have to go crazy. So he might choose to be a bit more conservative and just kind of get medals where he can, get himself the win, keep himself healthy, ready to push for worlds. Second place, Will Pickering. Excited to see him competing for GB on the open team. Like, he's a name that's been around for a long time. Like, I think he's been around roughly since when I started. Like, he's a name I've kind of always known of. I don't feel like he's had the best performances for a while. I think he had one last year. If he listens to this, he's probably going to be offended, but it's okay. I think he's been getting injured a lot, though, hasn't he? From what I remember, like, when I think of his lifting, the thing that sticks in my mind is I think he hurt himself squatting at the Arnolds, possibly. Yeah, he injured himself squatting at the Arnolds, I think. He put up a good total at Manchester Open, 827.5, and then at British, 840. So if he's still able to stay healthy and just keep getting that momentum, like 840 for him at British was a big total. And he's still young, he's 26. Like, I think we could see a potential increase on his total here, but I don't see a lot from him in training either. I think the biggest thing for him is he's just been injured for a while, I think. At least, I mean, I don't know him, so this is just from what I've seen from following him online. So hopefully we see a decent PB from him, even if it's just a 5 kilo total PB or something. That will hopefully be enough to secure him in second place. He's also got one of the biggest pulls as well, I think, which is worth mentioning. Like, Christian seems to have the biggest pull on the list. Then we've got Will, and then we've got, I'm going to butcher this name, I'm going to say Sletten. That's easier. Sletten from Norway, ranked third with an 830 total, which is only 10 behind Will's nominated total. He also pulls 350 on his nominations, which is pretty close to Will and Christian's deadlifts. So I think in terms of placing, it's going to be who dares pull last. It's going to really just determine a lot. But I have ranked 1, 2, 3, same as that list. But again, it's fairly close. Richmond from France, ranked fourth, same total as Sletten from Norway of 830. And then we've got Maris from the Netherlands, ranked fifth with 821. Like, they're all pretty close. And again, in these heavier weight classes, you're looking at 20 kilo jumps on pulls alone, and squats, to be honest. Like, you're looking at big jumps. So one missed attempt can move you from second down to sixth.
Yeah, definitely. I think, I agree with you in terms of Christian. Like, he's definitely going to come through first. I think hopefully he has a really good day. I know that, you're probably right. He's going to be not pushing things, especially in terms of squat and bench as well. Like, I know his main injury was around his adductor. So I think he always tends to take squats a little bit lighter, just to build that total and to prevent anything from going bad, especially because he's obviously a sumo puller as well. But I think hopefully it would be good to see him push, but I think it wouldn't be smart to push too much, being that kind of lifter. So, but I've definitely backed him for first. I think with Will as well, like, obviously he had a really good meet at the Open, and I think he's just going to want to like check on that total as well. I think he's hopefully quite safe in second place. He does seem to be a lifter that does hit standards quite consistently. Like you said, he's been around for a long time. I know that his deadlift can be a little bit iffy sometimes, because sometimes get stuck on his legs, but from what I saw at the British, he seems to have fixed that now. So I think he'll be in a good place to kind of confirm that second place nomination. And then, in terms of third place, I think there is going to be a little bit of a battle here. I know that Rich Baden from France, he's a fairly young lifter. He seems to be consistently progressing. And and he does seem quite confident as well. So I would back him for third place here. But like you said, it's anyone's game when you get the attempts wrong. And I don't want to say it, but the French team aren't always the best at that. So that's the only reason that I would say that he might not make it to third. But yeah.
It's actually funny that you mentioned that, because I wrote in my notes that, you know, Sletton is my instinct for third, purely based on the fact that I don't really trust France's attempt selection. I think especially for a younger lifter, because if they let the lifter choose, is the lifter going to want to go and overreach there, which is a bit of a stereotype, but you never really know. But at the same time, I did know that Sletton doesn't seem to make, like, he is somewhat inconsistent. So I think that almost makes it even more interesting of, is one of them going to play it safe but play it too safe? Like, you just don't know. And if they're both inconsistent, then someone else is easily going to sneak in there. So they've all got to, obviously, again, I hate when people say this because it's obvious, it's literally the sport. They've got to be sensible with their attempt selection, but it's that balance of too sensible to then mess up. Like, it's who's going to make those attempts, but who's going to push themselves to that limit.
The thing is, you know, you say it's obvious, but like there are so many teams with different kind of tactics and stuff that it isn't always obvious to a lot of people, like that's what they should probably be doing, because so many people do it so differently. And like, especially if it's like the first international that you're watching, like you might not be aware that there is a wrong or a right way to probably be doing these things. I also thought it was worth mentioning that this is the first time I've seen this. I don't know if you've got the nominations up, but at the bottom of the nominations, in the 93s, 105s, and 120s, there's a few lifters that have put in a 75 kg total. Is this tactical or what's going on?
So I think that's what they do if they've not qualified in a certain way. Like, when I'm pretty sure when Shell came back from Equipped, he had to do that, which is why he ended up in the B group. I think if their nominated total is maybe from a different weight class or from too long ago, they then have to enter that weight class with like a default total, which is literally just 75 kilos, like 25 in each lift. But I've actually just put that lifter into open powerlifting, and his best raw total is 857.5. I don't know where that. Oh no, that's the 105s. Wrong person. Ignore that I just said that.
Even so, though, like, you know.
No, even so. So yeah, that's something where you have to be a little bit careful of who you place where, because obviously if they're going to be in the B group or the C group, so you're not that the people in the A group are going to have the advantage that these people have already lifted. But if they're good enough, they could potentially sneak that podium spot.
It's interesting.
I think that's worth mentioning.
I thought it might have been some tactical play going on.
So Margus in the 93's best total raw is 840, which wow.
Yeah.
So that does put him up there, potentially near the top. Again, Christian, Will, Sletton, Richmond, like these people, they're all going to have the advantage of knowing what he's totaled.
Yeah.
But that is definitely worth knowing. He is a little bit older. He's what, last month he was 48, so he is a little bit older, which does obviously make a bit of a difference. But let's see, I'm also a bit confused because I should have looked this up beforehand. So it looks like he's competed more recently as a 105. So he's obviously moved down a weight class then, and that's where that total's come from. So those totals are from when he was a 105. That's would be interesting. It's one to keep an eye on. Yeah, because if he's maintained that strength cutting down, but then also cutting down when you're nearly 50. Obviously, I mean, I literally don't know what build this guy is, if he's quite short for the weight class or whatever, but cutting down nearly 50 years old from 105s, where it looks like he sat just above 105 as well in a couple of these comps, cutting down to 93. That's a big cut.
Yeah, for sure. Something that I've not seen before, but be interesting to see what he does.
Definitely, especially if he can maintain that strength and he like pulls off an upset. Even top 10 would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
We'll move on though. So we've got the 105s. Did you want to take the lead on this one to start with?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously we've got Emil Norling nominated in first place with 905 kilos. Emil is a very experienced lifter. I think he's lifted on the international stage for quite a while now. He's got obviously like a massive pull, a big squat and a big bench. He's a pretty good powerlifter. And then nominated in second, we've got I believe it's pronounced Regan, who is a fairly new lifter. Believe that he's not been powerlifting for much longer than a year. Nominated with 903.5 and still a junior. A little bit scary that. I think, Emil is obviously very experienced, and he has had a few injury issues, I believe. But I think, Regan, I can't see Regan not pulling into first place. He's got a slightly bigger pull, and he just does seem to be getting stronger. From what I've seen on Instagram, I think he's gonna be really. He's going to be looking for first place here. And then, in terms of third place, obviously we've got Johannesson from Norway with 885 and Clement Coco just behind with 880. And then obviously we can't not mention Ben Pape in sixth place with 872.5. I know that Ben's not really looking at placing for this one though. Like if it happens, it happens. I think he just wants to have a good day after the British to add a little bit to his total if he can and just enjoy it. So I think literally direct quote from the video that was put up, set the tone for the year, which I think is a really good mindset. But in terms of that third place, I think it is quite open. I would probably leave it as it is just because Coco from France, he is not the most consistent lifter. I find as well with he's obviously a very low bar squatter, and not to stereotype from previous Europeans championships, but they don't particularly like to see that. But obviously it depends how he lifts on the day, and hopefully he can meet the standards. But I'd probably say Johannesson in third, Emil Norling in second place, and then Regan in first place. I think he's going to add a decent amount to his total.
Yeah, I think we mostly agree on that. Like I've put Regan in first. He's so young. He's progressing so fast. Like there's no reason why he shouldn't have made more progress then. And with Emil as well, just from following him online and stuff, I just think powerlifting doesn't seem to have been his priority for a while. Like he's still been training, he's still been lifting, but he hasn't been close to his best for a while. I think he had a kid. He built a house. I don't even know. I think he's a firefighter as well. Like that's not, with the level of powerlifting now, that's going to be hard to keep up with anyway, especially when your life obviously then isn't revolved around powerlifting. So I would love to see Emil put up I think his best ever total is around the 940 mark. I would love to see him come in and do that again, but I just don't think it's very likely. But I hope I'm wrong. But I put Regan in first, Emil in second, and then I've actually put Coco in third from France. I agree with you about the standards and his very low bar squat. I don't think it's past the point of even calling it a low bar squat. I found it interesting that year where Panna bombed because of the upright position that Coco was fun. I know it's different reps on different days, but I've always thought Coco's, I mean, I don't see it in person, so that could be why, but I've always thought his looked a little bit more iffy and then over. But he does always seem to get away with it internationals. He's done enough internationals. It doesn't seem to have really been called. So I really hope he's fine. But the reason I put him in third is because he just looks like he's on a mission at the moment. I think he's been doing SPD days back to back to back to back to back, looking at his Instagram. So I think I'd like to see him come third. Obviously he's putting the work in, but it's whether he's putting the work in a sensible way or whether he's just overdoing it and his body's just going to get too beaten up. So I guess we'll see with that. I did also make a note, honorary mention for Ben Pape, because I actually want to mention what you mentioned there. I really have a lot of respect for Ben as a lifter. He's been around the same kind of total mark for a while. He does everything right. He just keeps putting the work in. And, I think he said, I saw it the other day, but it's that thing of are you still going to try as hard? And are you still going to do the sport when you only add, you're chasing 2.5 kilo increments in your total at a time? And he is showing that obviously he's doing that. And I do think he is overdue, a big PB. His training, since changing coach to Mike T, his training's looked really good. And they're obviously just trying to figure out the best way to peak Ben for a comp. So it'll be good to see. I think he's recently changed nutrition coach as well. So that could also have an element to play here. But I like that he said he's not chasing for placing. Kind of what happens, happens. But I would love to see a total PB from him. But if he's listening to this, I don't like him.
Yeah.
Right, we'll move on to the 120s. Another really exciting one. So Nonzo is competing for the first time in the Open first time for GB in the Open. So I'm really excited to see what he does here. I think everyone is. I'm also quite excited that there is someone close by, so it is going to be a bit of a battle. So we've got Nonso ranked first with 938 total. We've got Nicholas Peyrod. I say it in my head, but I can't say it out loud. From France, 935.5. If I'm not mistaken, he's been a 120 for a while, but a light 120 as well. So that is an advantage, obviously, on his side. And then we've got Razim from Azerbaijan, 922.5, ranked third. To be honest, I think that's where the podium's going to be. I think that is the order it's going to go. I think Nonso, being as young as he is, even though Nicholas is also young, I think Nonso has the most chance of progression here. Yeah. I think at 938, I think is from the British as well, isn't it? Where he did just load up a crazy deadlift for the win, which I was watching this, and don't get me wrong, I believe he could pull over 400 kilos. He loaded 402.5, but I remember thinking to myself on that day that seemed like an overreach. Like, he jumped from 380 to 402.5. And I know a lot of people were like, oh no, like, he easily has 402.5. It was just an unlucky pull. But I remember watching it from the audience thinking to myself, on this specific day, I don't think you did. So I fully believe he can total around the 940s, 950s mark, as long as attempts are obviously sensible and good. I also don't know how much progress he's made since then as well. I've mentioned this on the British preview with him. I think it was the British preview. Like, he's progressed so fast, so quick, but I do wonder if it's now at the point where it's going to slow a little bit, and then they have to adjust the training around that. Like, you can't chase momentum forever. And I do wonder if he's kind of reached that point, but I think this comp will be a big tell of that. But either way, like, I want him to progress. I want him to do well. Like, I think he will. And I am backing him 100% for first. But also Nicholas, he's been around for a long time. It'd be cool to see him obviously do really well as well. So I'm just really excited for this class. I think we've got a lot of really strong guys in this class. And again, when you get to the heavier weight classes, one missed deadlift is 20 more, even more kilos off your total, right? So the placings, you can't count anyone out.
No, definitely not. I think just seeing like 2005 on this nomination form is actually crazy. Like, there's no one with 2004, no one with 2003. Like, so it's either 2002 and then it's 2005. Like, I think that just shows like the ridiculous level of the talent that Nonso is bringing over onto the Open team for us. Like, I think this is so exciting. I think as well, like, his performance at the British, he's going to want to come into this thinking, I just want to win. I don't think there'll be any chasing any silly numbers, because I know that before, I think his last international that he did last year, he loaded up, was it 411 or something, or he loaded up a deadlift, but he couldn't pull it again. And I think he'll just want to finish really strong on this one, and he will just want to walk away with the win. So yeah, I think it's going to be really exciting to see what he does. But like you said, he does have competition. Nicholas has been lifting for quite a while. He's going to have loads of support at this meet, because obviously with Clara as well, like, I'm sure they'll have like a lot of family over too. So that'll be really exciting for him. But yeah, I think Nonso is going to probably walk away with the win here. He's going to be pulling last. I think it will just be a case, the GB team, they know what they're doing. They just want to put on exactly what they need and leave it at that. Like, you know, I think it's his first or second year as a junior, and to be walking away with a gold medal at an Open International is just like phenomenal. So hopefully he'll be happy with that. I think he needs it to like carry on, like, because like you say, that momentum is going to run out at some point, and I think he probably does need just like a big win to kind of like put it into perspective of like how much that's worth, and like to just not just like focus on like momentum, because obviously that is going to die out eventually. But yeah, and then in terms of third place, we've got Razim nominated with 922.5. I haven't had much of him, but he seems to have pretty solid numbers across the board. Massive squat. I believe that is that over the current European record. I seem to remember Indy and Bo last year fighting for the European squat record around the 340 mark. So if that is still the same number, then he's going to blow that away with that 362.5 if he can meet that. Is it still around
350? Oh no, it's 120. It's 355.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, if he's on for a good day, then he could take a record as well, which would be nice. But yeah, in terms of everyone else, I think the top three is pretty locked off for those lifters. I think it'll be good to watch.
Something else I've just noticed as well. So I was having a little look at Nicholas, his open powerlifting. I know I said he's usually a light 120, but I think I'm assuming it's just come with the rise of the sport. He has, it looks like, filled it now or nearly filled it. So when he hit that 935.5, he did weigh in at 118.1, which I'm assuming is where a lot of that boost of his total has come from, obviously just letting himself gain that weight. So if he's had, I mean, 118 is still a fairly light 120. I can't imagine he like gut cut and water loaded off that 2 kilos. So if he's potentially gained a little bit more and really settling at that heavier body weight, getting used to his leverages and stuff, we could see another boost from him as well, because he's only 25. So that's also worth mentioning. The other thing I just noted as well, when you were saying about Razim from Azerbaijan, he was born in 1975. So does that make him an M? I think he's at the end of M1, right? And he's going.
He'll be M2. He'll be M2 from this year.
This year,
yeah.
Against Nonzo, born in 2005, which is so cool to see that age gap.
Yeah,
on that platform like that, like potentially top 3 with that much of an age gap is such a cool thing to see, and it's really cool seeing the masters lifters keep up as well.
Yeah, I love it.
Right, we'll move on to the 120 plus. So final class. Did you want to take the lead or do you want me to?
You go for it.
All right. So I am really excited for this one. Now, it looks like Tima from Georgia is going to walk away with it with a 1,087.5 kilo total. We've got Senk from Turkey with a 1,018 kilo total in second. So there is a big gap there. But it has to be said, Tima has cut a lot of weight. So I was actually surprised to see him in the 120 plus for this one. I believe he's cutting 2 under 120. So I don't think he weighs much above 120 right now. I could be wrong with that. He might still be a bit above, but I know he has been cutting weight. I don't think anyone's, or like he's publicly really said about why, whether it's a health thing, whether he thinks he'll be more competitive at 120. Who knows? Obviously, he's an incredible talent, but it does look like from what he's been posting, his lifts have, as they would, suffered from that cut. So where he's pulled 411 in the past, I think he's been pulling like mid to high 300s in training at most. So I mean, his squat was 430 as a 120 plus. I can't imagine he's held on to that either. Usually as well, it's the deadlift that you hold on to the most when you cut that weight. So if his deadlift has tanked quite a lot, then I would imagine his squat has too. And his bench as well. He was benching 256 when he hit that total. So I hope he's kept a lot of that strength. Obviously, like I think he's a young lifter. He has so much potential. Like there was talk of him being the one to rival Jesus in a couple of years' time. Like he is a very talented lifter. And I think if he's cutting to 120 for health reasons, obviously that's completely understandable. Like you can't, like you need to make those choices for yourself. But it'll be interesting to see what he weighs in at. And it's going to be interesting to see if he can hold on to that first place position, having cut that much weight. Because really, in these heavier weight classes, I know we've said it loads of times, but especially 120 plus, that isn't that big of a gap on the total. I know it's like 70 kilos almost, but that's probably a missed squat and a missed deadlift.
Yeah.
Right. So I think Timo will win, but I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't. I think Senk from Turkey will come second. Now, third place, I'm really excited to see. So we've got Victor from Ukraine, 961 total. And then we've got Paul from GB with a 960 total in fourth. And we've got Marcus from Germany ranked fifth with 949. The totals below that are still, at least one more below that is still pretty close. And again, with this weight class, who knows? It's just a matter of making attempts. But I've put Paul in third, and that's not even me being biased to GB team. Like his training has looked incredible. I didn't really know of him until All England's last year. And I remember All England's last year, I can't remember where he placed, but I remember thinking he did really well and like he looked strong for someone I hadn't really seen before. British, I can't remember where he placed. I think he placed either second or third, but he had added a lot to his total. I'm going to get his open powerlifting up. So not Manchester Open, All England's he hit 940, British he hit 960. He did do home nations like 3 weeks later and hit 947.5, but that was literally a 3 week turnaround, which for a super heavyweight is insane. But he put 20 kilos on his total from June to November. And honestly, he looks so strong. He's working with Peach. Like, they've obviously got something going right here. Like, I've seen some of his training online. He does look really strong. And I am going to back him for third.
Yeah, definitely. I think I was going to mention, like, as soon as he started working with Peach, like, I could see, like, there were a few, like, really good things that have come through, and, like, you can see it in, like, his numbers that he put up in British. I think I definitely back Paul for third place. And then, yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what Timar puts up, considering, like, his cut, and just to see where he weighs in at as well. But I think, he will still be able to finish in first. And then, yeah, the gap's too sizable between second and anyone below to catch up. So I think that Cenk will finish in second place. It'll be interesting to see, if, 400.5, like, that's still, like, obviously a huge pull. Be interesting to see whether they end up battling it out for, like, a record in the end. Like, I'm not sure if that might have been, like, a missed attempt before going for the next one, or just to get over 400. But that'd be cool to see. It'd be a cool way to end off the competition. But yeah, just to see two lifters with, like, an over 1,000 kg total in the sport is mental. Like, that is so much weight. So it's always exciting to watch, large amount of weights being shifted. So I think it'll be good to watch this one.
I also just had a little look at Cenk's open powerlifting, and he hit that 1,018 total back in Estonia at Euros in December 2023. So he has competed since, but not at such a high level meet. So I'm wondering, it looks like all the meets since have just been in Turkey. So they've probably not been ones where he's needed to particularly push.
Yeah.
So he's had a decent amount of time to add a lot to that total. Whether or not he has, obviously, we don't know. But with that much time, like, we're looking at potentially quite a big total increase, which, if Timar's total has gone down, I do think could make it really interesting. I'm really excited for this. I mean, I'm excited for every single class, but I'm really excited for this class. So I think there's a lot of unknowns with this class as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like, a lot of open doors.
Perfect. So that was the final weight class. I don't think I've got anything to shout out. Have you?
No, not particularly.
No, I think we've covered everything. So if you've made it to the end, thank you for listening. Millie, did you want to shout out your socials? I won't laugh at you this time before we wrap up.
So guys, you can follow me over at m.illylifts on Instagram.
Brilliant. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it.